Good afternoon, and welcome to this Red Ribbon Awards special session. My name is Suzette Moses Burton, and I am the recently appointed Executive Director of the Global Network of People Living with HIV and AIDS. I have the absolute honor and privilege and pleasure this afternoon to be the moderator of this special session for the Red Ribbon Award winners, who were introduced to the community at large during the plenary session this morning. GNP Plus and UNAIDS have a long-standing history of collaboration and working together, and I think after this conference, I'm going to speak to either Michelle or Jan about some sort of, stipend, because it seems as though most of the sessions that I'm doing are with UNAIDS, but no, I'm just kidding. It really is a pleasure to be, it is a pleasure, actually, to be called upon so frequently by one of our partners. It speaks volumes to the level of trust that they have in us, especially as community representatives, as a global network of people living with HIV, to be able to work in collaboration with them and to do justice to all of the sessions that they have, whether we're speaking, moderating, chairing, facilitating, etc. So now that I've yapped enough about myself, so this is the special session that has been organized and is organized annually to honor and present awards to the Red Ribbon Award winners. And UNAIDS is a proud partner in the Red Ribbon Award, which is awarded to community organizations from across the world who implement particularly innovative programs. The awards are given in 5 categories, and there are 2 winners selected in each of the 5 categories by a committee of community organizations. So the awards are actually given to peers, which is also another wonderful tradition of this Red Ribbon Award ceremony. We have with us this evening 2 representatives from each of the 10 award-winning organizations who are sitting to my left and to my right. I believe I got that correct, yes. And the furthest part of my right, we have an extremely distinguished panel of speakers who will make some very brief interventions and remarks prior to the presentation of the awards to each of the winners. And on the panel this afternoon, we have Jan Beagle, the Deputy Executive Director of UNAIDS, His Excellency the President of Fiji, Ratu Epali Nailatikau. This is exactly what I was afraid of, that I would butcher people's names, and I butchered the absolute first one that I tried. I'm so sorry. We also have with us the Minister of Health of Indonesia, the Honorable Napza Mboy, and I didn't butcher that one because I actually had the privilege of being on a panel with her yesterday, so I'm a little bit more familiar with the name. We also have with us the Vice Minister of Health, Surveillance of Brazil, Dr. Jarbas Barbosa. And rounding out our distinguished panel this afternoon is Dame Carol Kidu. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Jan to bring some opening remarks.
Thank you, Suzette, and good afternoon, everyone. It's really a great pleasure for UNAIDS to welcome you to this very, very special session. This is a special session, but it's actually a very special session, and I think we have with us a most distinguished group of people on the panel and also here among our award winners. And we all know that the most innovative and successful aspects of the AIDS response from the outset have come from those who are most directly affected. And we in the UNAIDS family, and many members of our family are here today, we know that the key to getting to the 3 zeros lies in communities, lies in our civil society partners. And whether it's working with civil society on our board, we're the only UN organization that has civil society on our board, or whether it's working with civil society in country, as we all do, we know that without them, we will certainly not be ending AIDS by 2030. We heard a lot in the opening ceremony last night about the need of leadership to get to 2030, the collective leadership of governments and private sector and international organizations, and of course civil society. But I was just in a session a moment ago, and in one of the questions, somebody asked, well, what was the major factor in driving change in your country? And the person on the podium said, it was civil society with guts. So I think that actually is a good way to describe all of our award winners here. They've all had amazing courage to drive change in their countries, and we really want to congratulate all of them, every single one, and everyone who is behind them, because they are the face of their organizations, and behind them are teams and teams of people for whom they will take back this recognition from this award. So I'm very happy to present awards to
So the first, in the first category, it's the category, the award goes to 2 organizations that work with prevention among or by people who use drugs. And the 2 winners in these categories are Ehyaye Sarmad, and that's an organization based in Iran, and they work with people who use drugs in prisons. And the second organization is Dristi from Nepal, and they're an organization who works with women who use drugs. Forward? Okay. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And now I'd like to invite one of the recipients to bring some brief remarks, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ehyaye Sarmad from Iran and Dristi Nepal from Nepal. Both organizations working for women who use drugs and prisoners are the pioneers organization who are delivering harm reduction services, are very privileged to be a part of 20th International AIDS Conference as Red Ribbon awardees. We are the voices of many who are neglected in every ways. Drug users are human beings. We should be respected, given access to education, housing with employment and services. We are lacking behind strategic information no one cares about counting us. And today, we demand here to have access to more research, programs for rapid response, and to be able to do effective harm reduction services for prisoners and women who use drugs, and also sell sex, and also living with HIV. The programs need to be beyond HIV by integrating children, the families, and providing prisoners and women with educational, nutrition, economic, and social support. We can be all together to improve the quality of lives of drug users to take a role in the society. We can change the attitude towards prisoners and women who use drugs like me. It is in our reach. Every drug user should have choices, invest, intervene, include us in all process to end the HIV epidemic and respect our human rights. In solidarity, thank you.
I'd now like to call on His Excellency, the President of Fiji, Mr. Ratu Epeli Nailatikau. I hope I got that right this time.
I'm over 70 now, and my name has never been pronounced more charmingly like it was today. Communities lie at the heart of the response to the AIDS epidemic, often displaying extraordinary courage, resilience, and creativity in addressing the global challenge. Local community leadership demonstrates how innovative, creative, and sustainable methods can be employed to provide care and support for people living with HIV/AIDS, fight stigma and discrimination, promote human rights, and do effective prevention work in order to contain a global epidemic, one community at a time. No person should be infected by a virus that can be prevented. No person should die from a virus that can be treated. The world has the means to prevent it and to treat it. Human rights demand that we do not and do our utmost to leave no one behind. Yet, there are still too many people living with HIV, and people who are marginalized, for example, because of who they are or because of who they love, experience stigma, rejection, discrimination, and abuse, and do not get access to the tools, information, and the services they should be entitled to. Community-based organizations, like the ones present here today, do a great job to try to overcome these obstacles. A good example in my country is the Fiji Network Plus, for short FJN Plus, an organization for people living with HIV, which is managed and driven by people living with HIV in Fiji. The committed advocacy played by this organization in HIV prevention work and treatment, as well as in addressing stigma and discrimination, is outstanding. People living with HIV and populations at higher risks of infections must be treated with dignity. Only through meaningful involvement of people living with HIV and key populations can an effective AIDS response be scaled up to reach all those who are vulnerable and at risk, to reach all people who need services, regardless of their ethnicity, gender, background, and geographic location, leaving no one behind. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very glad to have this opportunity to address the Red Ribbon Award special session, particularly because you, the winners of the award, have shown us how community groups can lead the way and make a difference. I also would like to express my appreciation of this forum to advocate more groups to join the global effort to improve the AIDS response and to achieve the 3 zeros: 0 new HIV infections, 0 stigma and discrimination, and 0 AIDS-related deaths. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And we'd now like to present the awards in the second category on prevention of sexual transmission. To Action pour la lutte contre l'ignorance du sida, an organization of sex workers based in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and to Marsa Sexual Health Center in Lebanon.
Thank you very much. There you go. Right?
Thank you.
And I'd now like to invite one of our 4 recipients in this category to bring some brief remarks.
Dear audience, we as ALCIS, Action pour la lutte contre l'ignorance du sida in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Marsa Sexual Health Center in Lebanon, 2 organizations working on the prevention of sexual transmission of HIV, would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity for being at this venue. We are honored and proud to receive this award. And now we are acutely aware of the responsibility and the accountability that this award entails. We fully accept this challenge, and we will continuously strive to exceed the standard. We wouldn't have been here today if it wasn't for the continuous support from our communities, our partners, and the passion and resilience of our working teams. ALCIS and the Democratic Republic of Congo, founded in 2000, have been active in the emergence of participation of sex workers and men who have sex with men as frontline educators of sexual health for the youth and for the law enforcement entities. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, since the time it was established in 2011, Marsa Sexual Health Center succeeded to achieve an outstanding position in providing comprehensive and holistic sexual health services for the general population, with a focus on the youth, the LGBTQ communities, and unmarried sexually active women. All our services are provided in a confidential and safe environment. We believe that every individual has the right to access to care and continuity of care, and the right to know how. The same challenges are faced in both countries. 1, resistance from the community. 2, delay of governmental response, and sometimes a total absence of response. And finally, lack of funds. Hereby, for the sake of meeting the standard and for the performance improvement, we demand to reduce new infections among sex workers and men who have sex with men, protect the rights of sex workers for the availability and sustainability of treatment, establish a legal framework for the rights of the most at-risk populations against the stigma and discrimination, Create and implement age-specific educational programs on sexuality and sexual health for the health professionals and for the public as well. Improve effective communication and collaboration between the government and the civil society organizations and among all stakeholders. Identify research priorities and act on the research needs to generate practices based on evidence. For both of our countries, we strongly believe that UNAIDS plays a leading role in creating influence over governments to take part in the action for the prevention of sexual transmission of HIV. Aksanti, shukran, thank you.
Thank you. And I'd now like to call on the Honorable Minister of Health of Indonesia, Napza Ehyaye, to deliver her remarks.
Good afternoon. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters from the Global Community Network. It is an honor for me to be here today on the occasion of this very special Red Ribbon Award ceremony. These awards matter, but I will start and close my remarks reminding us all that what matters most is your work and your service to each other in your home communities around the world. The Red Ribbon Award for Community Leadership is a prestigious global award presented every 2 years at the International AIDS Conference. The Red Ribbon Award notes and honors community-based organizations for their outstanding leadership in reducing the spread and impact of AIDS. Community participation, service, and leadership are the foundation of a successful AIDS response. It is community groups and community action which can lay a foundation which points the way for people disheartened and disoriented by HIV, inspiring them to build new self-respect, personal discipline, and constructive networks of support. Community-based groups, well-rooted in the community and well-led, can mobilize and empower, giving people access to information, services, and opportunity. You are important in our efforts to step up the pace to end HIV by 2030. I am pleased that at this 20th International AIDS Conference, as usual, the awards are honoring outstanding achievement related to prevention of sexual transmission, prevention among and by people who inject drugs, treatment, care and support, advocacy and human rights, stopping new HIV infections in children, and keeping mothers alive. These are crucial areas of work. They are all essential as pillars to the response to HIV and AIDS in any country. Red Ribbon Awards of 2014 will be presented to 10 community-based organizations selected out of thousands nominated around the world. I confess it gives me special pleasure to be part of this ceremony when an organization from my own country, Indonesia, is among the awardees. I extend my praise, thanks, and congratulations to all the winning organizations. We gather here to honor your vision and concrete actions on the ground. Red Ribbon Award is an extraordinary recognition. You have been chosen because you demonstrated how community can play a crucial role in the AIDS response, not only for your own community, but also for your country, your region, and the world. You provide exemplary model of service, action, and advocacy, and we thank you. At the same time, I should warn you that your peers, community leaders around you, and your governments will look to you for continuing responsible leadership in the future. Only with your leadership and participation will we be able to achieve the 3 zeros that we reach for. 0 new HIV infections, 0 AIDS-related death, and 0 discrimination. My friends, a favorite saying of mine for many years has been, "It is better to light a candle than curse the darkness." I thank all of you whom we honor today, organizations, your members, your volunteers, your staff, for being bright candles in your respective community. God bless you, and thank you.
And now I'll invite the minister to present the award in the next category, which is awarded in the area of advocacy and human rights. And the 2 award recipients are SASOD, the Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination from Guyana. And Minister, tell me if I'm getting this one correct. They told me to say it in English, okay? So the English version is the Indonesian Network of People Who Use Drugs, but I want to give the actual name a shot. So the name, as it originally is, the original name of the organization is Persaudaraan Korban Napza Indonesia.
Excellent, 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 excellent. Woo, excellent, excellent. Minister. Is the first?
Yes.
Hey, God, you just look over this way for us.
Thank you.
Guys, if you could just
Indonesia.
Okay, John, just have a couple over this way now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Terima kasih kamu ya.
And I'd like to now ask one of the representatives from this category to bring some brief remarks.
His Excellency, the President of Fiji, Ratu Ipeli Natagu, Minister of Health of Indonesia, Dr. Napza Mboi, Vice President of Health Surveillance of Brazil, Dr. Jarbas Barbosa, former Member of Parliament of Papua New Guinea, Dame Carol Kidu, UNAIDS Deputy Director Jan Beagle, GNP Plus Executive Director Dame Suzette Moses Burton, PANCAP Director Derek Springer, media representatives, fellow awardees, human rights and AIDS researchers, activists, students, service providers, distinguished delegates, good afternoon to you all. I'm Joel Simpson, speaking on behalf of the award-winning organizations from Indonesia and Guyana. Well, we are happy to be here today to accept this Excellence Award for our work. We remember and pay tribute to our peers and colleagues who lost their lives traveling here on flight MH17. May their souls rest in peace and their work not be in vain. On behalf of the Indonesian Drug Users Network, PKNI, and the Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination, SASOD, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Red Ribbon Awards Committee, program, and funders for honoring our work with this Excellence Award in HIV advocacy and human rights. In Indonesia and Guyana, PKNI and SASOD represent and work with marginalized groups who are treated like outcasts because they use drugs, sell sex, and have diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. Our communities are castigated as third-class citizens. Their humanity and dignity are denied, and their rights are not respected. It's often difficult in this sector which is obsessed with data, numbers, monitoring and evaluation, and return on investment to make the business case for investing in human rights and advocacy programs for key populations. But this Red Ribbon Award category for advocacy and human rights recognizes that we are stepping up the pace by putting pressure on state and non-state actors alike to end criminalization, prohibition, and discrimination, which create barriers to access for our communities. If we are to achieve universal access to HIV prevention, treatment, care, and support, then we must protect the rights of those most vulnerable in our societies. We know getting to zero is only possible if there is zero discrimination, zero new infections, and zero AIDS-related deaths. But we cannot get to zero if donors do not invest in community-based organizations who represent and work with key populations to advocate and improve human rights protections for these disadvantaged groups. Human rights is prevention. Human rights is treatment. Human rights is care and support. Invest in human rights now. And today, as we celebrate our work with this most prestigious Red Ribbon Award, we are reminded that the struggles for human rights, dignity, equality, and justice are far from over. Yesterday, Sunday, July 20th, two transgender youth, Jada and Tyra, were brutally murdered in Guyana's capital city, Georgetown. Both Shalon and I know Jada and Tyra personally as vibrant and talented young advocates in the Guyanese lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT movement. Our work is not complete until every human being in our countries, every drug user, every sex worker, every LGBT person can live their lives freely and openly without fear, hatred, or stigma. We dedicate SASOD's Red Ribbon Award in loving memories of Jada, Tyra, and countless other Guyanese LGBT people who have lost their lives due to bigotry and prejudice in our beautiful country. Jada and Tyra, may your souls rest in peace. Your bravery will not be in vain. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call on the Honorable Vice Minister of Health Surveillance of Brazil, Dr. Jarbas Barbosa.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank UNAIDS for giving me this opportunity to be here on behalf of the Minister of Health of Brazil and to participate in this very important session. I think that this is not only to recognize the excellent work that is provided by these organizations that are here receiving the Red Ribbon, but also this is to recognize the crucial role that the social organization, that community-based organizations play in the response of HIV/AIDS epidemics. I do believe that no country can provide a proper response to HIV/AIDS if we don't have a very close collaboration, if you don't have the participation of the community-based organizations, of the social movements participating in these very different, several and important areas, human rights, supporting people to receive treatments, fighting against discrimination and stigma, and all the areas that these organizations here are working. Some of these organizations, they are working in a very tough environment, fighting against discrimination, lack of resources. Some of them don't have the proper resources to mobilize the people that they are working, the communities that they are working, but they persist with the work, and I think that this is a very important recognition of the wonderful work that they are providing. Yes, in the same room we had a very important discussion about the future of the epidemic of AIDS. And I think that everybody now is clearly that in one hand we have the tools, all the evidence that we have are showing that it's possible to dream about the end of the epidemic of HIV/AIDS. But at the same time, this is a very important responsibility for governments, for donors, for international organizations, for social movements that we need to act now. It's totally unacceptable that we live still in a world, and in many countries, people don't have the right to receive diagnosis and treatment for AIDS. It's totally unacceptable that we still have countries that have laws that criminalize social orientation, for example. So I think that this conference is a very important moment to build a strong consensus that yes, it's possible to end the epidemic, but it's only possible if we can work together and fight that we can have everybody that needs the treatment receiving treatment, everybody having the right to live without no type of stigma and discrimination. For this reason, I think that these fighters that are here on the stage, they represent hundreds and thousands of organizations that are working in the countries, and they are a very important part of the response. So congratulations for you, and we are very proud. I'm very proud to be here and to share with you this very important session. Thank you very much.
And now I'll ask the Minister to present the awards in the next category on treatment, care, and support to Life Concern Organization of Malawi and Cherkasy Regional Branch of the All-Ukrainian Network of People Living with HIV in Ukraine.
From Malawi. Congratulations. Thank you. Yes.
No.
Please.
I'll search it straight. Yeah. All right. Okay. Looking straight at the camera, please.
Okay. Thank you. Malawi. Congratulations. Lico or Lico? Lico. Lico. Thank you. You are from vecinos entonces de Brasil. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, guys, we just look in this direction. One more.
Давайте поближе. Да, девочки ваши.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll now invite one of the representatives to bring some remarks on behalf of the group.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, despite our happiness, we would like to convey our sadness to our friends who failed to make it to the conference due to the plane crash in Ukraine. May their souls rest in peace. It is a great honor for us, on behalf of our two organizations, Life Concern Organization from the Republic of Malawi and Cherkasy Regional Branch of All-Ukrainian Network of People Living with HIV from Ukraine, to accept the 2014 prestigious Red Ribbon Award right here at the International AIDS Conference in Melbourne, Australia. Although we all deal in different spheres, we have something in common. Today we are all here, present where our work has been acknowledged and appreciated. Our dreams is becoming reality. We can't express how excited and inspired we are with these awards. Of course, our organizations faced a lot of challenges but we succeeded in overcoming them and gained outstanding experience in working with people living with HIV by providing them with prevention, testing and counseling, treatment and continuance of care and support. To those who have touched our lives in any way since we started, you all know who you are, and we are truly grateful for all of you. Our promise to you all is that we shall certainly strive to become better community-driven organization, aspiring to improve the quality of lives of people living with HIV. We now humbly accept to join the prestigious group of Red Ribbon Award winners. Дуже вам дякую. Thank you very much.
And now, before we present the awards to the final category of winners, I'd like to call on Dame Carol Kidu to bring some brief remarks.
Distinguished delegates, and of course the VIPs of this session that are sitting here before us. Let's again acknowledge these VIPs that are sitting before us. I'm really honored to be part of the Red Ribbon Award ceremony because it recognizes dedicated, innovative, and tireless work at community level. Community activists and community service providers are critical for any HIV response to be inclusive, progressive, and sustainable. Yes, governments must put policies, strategies, programs, and enabling legal environments in place. But these are of no effect if they do not engage with communities. The answer lies within. It lies within our communities, our families, and our individuals. And thus we are gathered here to honor the global winners of the community innovation. In a way, I guess I'm wearing several hats. I'm a former in terms of politics. I'm a former politician, but I'm also here as a member of the Global Commission on HIV and the high-level task force that is lobbying strongly for sexual rights and reproductive health rights to be part of the SDG agenda. This International AIDS Conference is being hosted in the Asia-Pacific region, I believe for the first time in many, many years. And it gives an opportunity to highlight the diversity of response in our region. I'm from Papua New Guinea, a nation made up of over 800 languages and tribes. The tribal structure is based on villages and clans, and lifestyles based on community, not individuals. And so the answer to the response in Papua New Guinea lies within those communities. At first we were afraid, really afraid, that we were heading towards a generalized epidemic in Papua New Guinea, by far the highest infection rate of the Pacific region. But things nowadays are looking up and they're stepping up the pace. PNG's treatment initiation rate at 70% is the third highest in the Asia-Pacific region. So this reflects that stepped up pace. However, it hides the very low antiretroviral therapy initiation rate for children, which stands at 36%, an area that needs much attention. Data from Port Moresby General Hospital also indicates that 40 to 50% of children in the malnutrition ward have HIV infection. These statistics ring up alarm bells that children are not the center of the response to HIV in Papua New Guinea, but they must be at the center with everybody else. Stepping up the pace must find ways to focus on children as well as vulnerable populations, sex workers, transgendered, all of the communities, plus women and girls in general. Why do I say women and girls in general? Stepping up the pace against HIV for women and children in Papua New Guinea must also address a serious and shameful driving force for HIV in Papua New Guinea. That is, the high levels of sexual violence suffered by women and girls, particularly in certain geographic regions. This leads me to reflect very briefly from the other hat that has brought me to this convention, the one on the whole rights issues. Human rights, social inclusion, equity and equality must be at the core of the HIV agenda. All human beings are entitled to the same human rights and freedoms, and by all I mean all, without reservation, with a capital A, a capital L, and a capital L. We're a long way from that yet in Papua New Guinea. Sexual rights, and that is being contested at the global level, where there are such things as sexual rights, and reproductive rights are human rights. They include the right to equality before the law and the right to the highest attainable standard of health, the right to have control over decision-making in all aspects of one's sexual and reproductive life without discrimination, coercion, or violence. Responding effectively to the AIDS epidemic requires respecting human rights and freedoms of all people living with HIV, repealing laws that criminalize sexual behaviors and criminalize other aspects of reproductive health. We must all call for measures that protect the rights and meet the needs of young people, especially adolescent girls, including to reduce the adolescent pregnancies and the spread of HIV, also to fully support young mothers with the services they need, and comprehensive sexuality education, not only in the education system, which does not reach everybody, but in the communities, and particularly through the church networks, which are sometimes very conservative. Women and children were a focus in my political life, and it is a great honour for me to award the Red Ribbon Award winners for the category that focused on women and children. Thank you to UNAIDS for honouring these heroes, not only community heroes, but also global heroes. And from Papua New Guinea, a nation based on community, I wish you Bamawale, Bonabagawada. Be happy and be strong, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Thank you.
Thank you, Dame Carol. And I'll now ask Dame Carol to present the awards in the final category, Stopping New HIV Infections in Children and Keeping Mothers Alive, Women's Health. And these two awards go to Girl Child Counseling Women Group from Kenya and Mujeres Unidas por la Salud from Venezuela. And I'll now invite a representative of this group to make some brief remarks.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank the Red Ribbon Award community and the high-level panel for recognizing our work. We, the Girl Child Counseling Women Group from Kenya, and the Women United for Health, MUSAS, from Venezuela, feel both privileged and honored to have been selected for the Red Ribbon Award 2014 in the category of stopping HIV infection in children and keeping mothers alive, including taking care of special needs of women and girls living with HIV. This is an indication of collective effort undertaken by each one of us. It is in this regard that we wish to reiterate that we will not relent, but rather feel re-energized to go out there and reach out more with a view of dawning hope and inspiring our peers especially the most vulnerable groups, women and children. We will therefore objectively pursue this cause back in our communities and in our countries. In this regard, we wish to request for more resources from the international community and our governments for conducting training for low-income women living with HIV and AIDS, mentoring and research concerns into women living with HIV and AIDS, providing means to satisfy the need for cervical cancer screening for women living with HIV and AIDS, train birth attendants in alternative income earning activities, and to promote delivery in health facilities, and organizing recreation activities for women living with HIV. We would also wish to ask our respective governments, the government of Venezuela, to comply with the legal obligation to supply ARVs, milk substitutes, biosecurity equipment, and clinical test follow-ups for women living with HIV and AIDS and their children, and the government of Kenya to create a public policy that will guarantee supply of ARVs, milk substitutes, and clinical follow-ups for all women living with HIV and AIDS and their families, especially their children. This will help bring positive and lasting change to our target group and permit us to live long, happy, and productive lives. Thank you.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this Red Ribbon Awards special session. But before I bring it to an official close, on behalf of UNAIDS, I would like to thank Irish Aid for their contribution to making this session a reality. And I also want to thank, of course, the members of our distinguished panel. I want to recognize and thank the work of the Red Ribbon Award Working Group, who worked tirelessly for months to put this session together, as well as all of the sessions that will take place during the community dialogue space. And I want to take this special opportunity to congratulate, on behalf of GNP Plus and all the community-based organizations across the globe, all 10 of you, on your excellence, for demonstrating excellence in community-based work, in service delivery. You are what we all strive to achieve, that level of excellence in all of our work, and you hold up the light for all of us to be able to follow. So thank you very much, and congratulations once again to Ehyaye, Hayate, Sarmad, Dristi Nepal, Action pour la lutte contre l'ignorance du sida, Marsa Sexual Health Center, Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination, Persaudaraan, Korban, Napza, Indonesia, Life Concern Organization, Cherkasy Regional Branch of All Ukrainian Network of People Living with HIV, Girl Child Counseling Women Group, and Hace Mujeres Unidas por la Salud. Congratulations, felicidades. And that brings this session to a close, and I want to invite our panelists as well as our award winners. Oh, I'm getting tongue-tied now. Too many different languages. For a photo op, I think probably the best place for it might be off to the left side of the stage. Somebody from UNAIDS tell me if I'm right or wrong, but yes. So thank you very much to all of you for attending the session and for being here.